Hello there everybody and welcome back to episode 15 of my tutorial series for Factorio. And I did a little bit of working beforehand today. So I expanded the factory to a point that we have a bit more grid to work with. Because I figured that, well, we really will need a little bit more than what we got right now. And the big thing today is we're going to acquire oil. We're also going to lay down the foundations today for our trains and more trains to come in the future. I already have that little railway thing here, but we also will need locomotives now because you see that's what we are going to need more often. And I don't really want to have to handcraft these things forever. Because as it stands right now, we are very soon running out of materials for our steel and copper production. And to pipe these into the factory properly, well, guess what? We need more copper and iron and more trains, therefore. So that's what we're going to start with, and then we're going to work with the stuff back there today. Okay, so for the trains, we do require one key ingredient, and that's engines. We already have made some engines in the previous episode. Their specialty gimmick is they are not handcraftable. Their ingredients, though, are iron with iron in different forms, and then some iron on top of it in another different form, so that at least is a pretty simple thing to resolve. So, let's see. We're going to go and... well, we're not going to need any coal on that belt for sure. So let's see. Ah, well. Here the spaghetti problems become more and more apparent. But it could be really, really worse. To make your factory generally as manageable as possible, my personal tip here is leave room between things and be willing to relocate and rebuild things somewhere else. So we're going to go over these things, of course, in the future as well. So here we get the steel that we require on the belt. So let's see what we will require for the rest of these things. Electronic circuits all the way, and that's about it. Our defenses are holding stand. That is really, really relieving. So that means we're going to get ourselves some electronic circuits on the way as well. So, well, might as well pick up some from here. There we go. Oh boy, we ran out of belts. So several parts of this factory will need some relocation and such, but for now the most pressing matter at hand, and that is why I'm doing so many improvised builds here in between, is that we do need more resources of all types, and as long as that is not resolved, we are sorta under time pressure. I mean, it is not really a huge deal or something like that. Here we go for another nifty little combination. And it's not like it's a huge deal or anything like that. You see, we still have a lot of material lying around here. This is still a lot of material, but I personally like to think ahead, and therefore these are the things that we want to take care of now. So let's check back with our ingredient list. We see iron sticks and iron gear wheels. Well, these can be procured locally, and last but not least, we are going to make those engines. So the engines I will make off the side here on this height here. So let's get started. We're going to require for the engine steel, iron gear wheels, and pipes. So, geez, what's with that density here? So here we're going to use now a little bit of a modernization, because we don't need to let the power run that way so complicated. We just do it this way now. Sometimes things need reorganization, and that is something that, well, what it... I don't know, this is... I see so many people struggling in the forums that I read, or the subreddit that I read, that they have the issue that, well, how to put it, they start anew because they don't like their old mess anymore. I don't know. I personally feel like it's a game where you can pick up everything and rebuild it elsewhere. And this is something that I very, very much want to incorporate in the series, as you see. So let's do this like that for once. Here we go. We actually need to roll it like that, and then like that. This is also a little bit of a trick that you can use to bring ingredients together. Just showing a little bit of belt black magic here and there. I mean, these are all very simple tricks. There are much more mind-boggling things going around there, but I hope you don't... if you have any questions on these, please ask away. Alright, so these are the materials that we require for the engine part, and we do need some of the steel over there as well. This is, yeah. Maybe I'm overdoing it right now a little bit, okay? But I want to show you how far you can take things. It's just all. How tidy or untidy your factory is at the end of the day, of course, 100% your own decision. What you do, though, with a setup like that is you are diluting the output of your factory of sorts, because now we have built another stream where steel has to travel down to and fill the belt. We already have a measly peasily low amount of steel production here, and now we're stretching it even thinner and thinner and thinner every time we do something like that. So the gist of it is, the larger your productions are, the more shenanigans like these you can afford. But there is also the downside that you need to rebalance things afterwards again. So let's check out how do these machines behave to one another with the max rate calculator tool, because this is something that I find extremely interesting. As you see now here, in this area, we are producing 1 gear wheel per second and 1 pipe per second. That engine machine, though, only eats so it is a 20th of these. So that means we can now have 20 engine machines running here out of all this. So we can easily at least go down like that. And check it out now. We are still... Well, we could bring up 10 engine machines with this setup, because the pipes work like that. So 1... Get away there, you filthy little... Don't need that anymore. So here we go. And just like that, we'll have the engines that we need. There we go. And this is a wonderful example of how things scale in this game eventually. The only downside is now that I have that I need to bring the engine machines down here, so they can reach the belt. But that's what I love the max rate calculator tool for, because I find it extremely hard for myself to find out these things. There are so-called cheat sheets for Factorio, where you can basically find all the information that I'm preparing here in form of a website. If you prefer that, feel free to knock yourself out. But I personally love to have these tools in-game, because, you see, I don't like to have to tab out of my game every now and then. Let's research flamethrowers. That not only gives us a personal flamethrower, but also a flamethrower turret. That's gonna be fun. So, now we need to feed the monster. I'm putting up engines here on a bigger tab because engines are an ingredient that, well, if you need it, it sucks to be waiting on it. Engines are mostly needed for tanks and cars and stuff like that, but again, also for locomotives. You can keep that engine factory part of your factory as small or large as you want to. I just wanted to showcase here how an array of these would look like. Also worth mentioning at that point is that we are also getting ourselves, to speak of the dilution topic again, we are also feeding unnecessary green belts in there. So we could easily just say that this thing here should have a steel filter. So it does stop to do this, but let's see. Now it will filter the steel that runs through this thing all into this direction. You see? No more steel goes into that direction. That's a problem with that setup. That's why I'm not doing it. Just in case you're wondering why we're not just filtering the splitter. It doesn't work like that, sadly. The other alternative that we could take here, though, so instead of the splitter, I think this is, as a matter of fact, a very good alternative, would be a filter inserter. But then again, that filter inserter would also pick up like a madman and not leave too much for this direction yet again. So, well, to put it down bluntly, it is not the best solution, but it is one that works, you see. And at the end of the day, my personal verdict about Factorio is, if your machine does what the machine is supposed to do, it ain't a bad machine. It might be that you can easily derive and devise a better machine, but for starters, a functional and working machine ain't no bad machine. Okay? That's really, really important to note, because I feel like Factorio is one of the games where a lot of people are, frankly said, quite scared of the game at times, too. Or at least I hear that sentiment of I'm afraid of doing something wrong quite often. There is no wrong in this game. As long as it works, and it's good. Okay, so we got the engine part down, so we can now finally make locomotives. This is really, really important, but, well, whoopsie. I didn't mean to pick up coal. I wanted to put in coal. Dang it. So happy when we're finally done with that part. Okay, as you see here, copper patch is also running drier and drier. I don't like that. Okay. So, let's get started with the locomotive. We need steel and electronic circuits, and also, yeah, well, engines, obviously. So, we do reverse the direction of the belt here, just like that. And let's do something like that, because obviously this way we can make our locomotives already here. Brilliant, isn't it? I like that. There we go. We also now have a belt of engines that we can use at our own discretion wherever and however we want to, which is pretty cool because, well, that gets us somewhere. Alrighty. So this is the engines of locomotives. I don't know anymore, but I think they were stored single each. Well, let's give that bad boy fast inserter. So, portable solar panels, night vision equipment, it all points towards a direction of wonderful piece of gear that we're also going to craft ourselves one time in the future, the modular armor. We are currently researching upgrades for that. It's basically like a power suit. Okay, let's give that poor thing a couple of steel plates. As you see here, that's what I'm talking about. We are already underproducing steel massively. And no, they have a stack size. Okay, so next step. We do require the necessary tools. Train stops, rail signals, and chain signals. Although the train stops are currently the most important thing. Let's get started with that. So that is all iron and iron and iron. So let's get started right there. And run it along like that. We can later down the road change the design still, but for starters this works quite decently for me. You can of course organize it better in form of clusters that that belong together, or put it all on one single height together, like I did it for example here. It's up to you. There is no real wrong or right way of building this stuff. There's only one wrong thing: no conveyor belts in my pocket. You will quickly notice this feeling too. We all do. Alright. So meanwhile, our gun turrets are fending off the endless menace of biters. And we are also spending a lot of steel and a lot of our resources in general into ammo production. This is something that really weighs down on our budget, but it is, in my humble opinion, currently a necessary evil. There we go. No, for iron sticks we take the blue inserter, because as you see there, they're much faster made than consumed. Okay, so now we can just go one step further like that. Boom. Train stop. There we go. So now we have the essentials for upgrading our rail network together, which is insanely important for the longevity of our factory. So here I'm researching now the inserter capacity bonus. This is a interesting upgrade, because at first it just increases the power of your stack inserters, but on the second level it also increases the capacity of your standard inserters. That means your inserters gain the ability to pick up two things at once, which is pretty amazing. It speeds up the yellow thingy by a lot. Alright, so let's get ourselves the tools of our trade. Pump jacks. We only need pump jacks today, because the oil extraction will happen down there, but the actual refining process not there. The thing is, pump jacks already create pollution by themselves, so again, we need to defend them. We are also going to require pipe and pipe to ground. Probably more than just one stack, but we'll see about that. Let's go for that. And once that is in our base, we're actually not going to go into oil refining just yet, because it is way more important at that point to go for the new mining outposts first, because we really are desperate for more copper and more iron to get up more steel. Because currently, well, it all works, but the question is how long. Because every time the biters attack, they chew through some of the resources out of that patch. It's, sooner or later, it'll run empty. Alright. Our little mining outpost here so far is doing quite well, as we can see. Let's see. There's still magazines on the belt. That's a good sign. And Then we are reacquiring that card that I forgot hours ago here. Okay. Let's hope I brought enough pump jacks. So, in a forested area like this, there's a lot less spider aggression because pollution, we're removing here the trees with hand grenades, because pollution is just being absorbed by the trees and the grass, you know, the stuff that I'm currently removing. And therefore, the pollution cloud, the one that, if it touches the biters, sends them off attacking you, will be blocked by the forest. Therefore, I'm removing only as much forest as I need to. Okay, here go the pump jacks. The blue arrow shows into the direction where the oil will be extracted towards to. So I'm trying to orient them all as good as I can into the same direction. In this scenario, north, because we want to ultimately combine all these pump jacks into one pipe. A single pipe can carry a lot of fluid, and as far as I know, we can transport all of the fluid away in one pipe. I need to check back with the exact numbers. I'll give you these. I'm very sorry that I forgot to look these up. But since this is not our last rodeo with the fluid mechanics, we'll be on this topic more often. The good part here is that we don't need to make things too complicated. It is really just a matter of connecting all the blue arrow things with the main pipeline. That is it. Unlike with the mining machines, the pipelines, and unlike the mining machines and the conveyor belts, the pipelines have an insane speed of throughput. But as a downside, as you see, we can't walk through them. Now, pump jacks create pollution, so again, we need to wall off the perimeter and put in a couple of magazines into it, and you know. So, as with all extraction operations, we need to safeguard that stuff while we're bringing it back home. Everything that produces pollution needs to be protected. That's pretty much the gist of it. But the good part is that oil that we are acquiring here will be the fuel for many things. For one, we are going to be able to produce solid fuel out of that. We can already do that pretty much by refining first the oil into gas in the refinery, and then we can put up a chemical plant and make fuel out of that. So we are henceforth autonomous from the drainage of the coal fields. So I find that a really, really good thing. Now then, let's set up the perimeter. I think the northern side does not require that many turrets. If anything, we need to defend the other parts. The good thing about this location here is that it borders right next to the iron patch, which means eventually we will pretty likely just expand this whole mining complex into some bigger kind of fortress, which is excellent, because that is way more efficient rather than building a ton of different outposts. Alright. Gotta snake it past here. Could also use a underground belt, of course, for the same reason. We already know how these things work, so that's quickly done now. I do like this belt defense system nevertheless quite a lot, because at the end of the day it is reliable, fairly cheap, and gets you really far. This fights off a lot of different biters here. Ooh, wait a second, it's the wrong direction. As we keep constantly upgrading our ammo, and therefore the damage output of these is constantly increasing. That's a pretty good thing. Okay, so we have a landline over there, so let's grab it right away. And just like that, we got ourselves the pump jack thing. You now know how it works. That's all you need to know about extracting oil. Things get a little bit more complicated when we're starting to process it, but not necessarily right from the get-go. The complexity begins when we do go for advanced oil processing. That is when we break up one fluid into 3 different other fluids, and that is where things become a little bit more difficult to handle. But in all honesty, it is no sorcery either. Alright, so bringing up the first of these pump jacks now. Alright. Why is that one so damaged? If I only knew. Ah well, so the ammo distribution thing is already working, and now we just need to wire them up. And then we got that. Alright. So our power footprint is now a little bit higher, but only so and so much. So the thing now is we need to bring that stuff back home. So that's what we brought all the underground pipes for. So let's see, we can't get it that way. And now we just casually run along like that. In case you are wondering why I am not using a landline belt and just the underground thing, 2 reasons for that. For one, it is tidier and easier to build through there, because you see you don't have any obstructions that you can't walk through anymore. And the other thing is that it actually is logistically smart, because the game works like that. The more tiles a pipe has, the more the fluid gets spread even between the tiles. That means it becomes harder and harder to have a full flow of the stuff, so to speak. Yeah, we ran out of pipe here, I guess as much. So that means, and that applies really only for super long connections, way longer than the one that we're doing. That means that if you are only using the land ones, that eventually your throughput of oil will slow it down because the pipe is too long. You can alleviate that by building tanks in between and attaching to these tanks pumps. Here. You need to build these, and these pumps will then, how to put it, put pressure back into the grid, and then the spread will be full again. So that's what you use in case of that. But if you just want to do a regular playthrough, what I just told you is of pretty much no deeper meaning of it for you. Nah, you're probably not even going to use that ever. But I personally want to give as much fancy information on the side as I can. Alright, so there's a piece of trainway right now. Okay. So we have today prepared the oil, and it is now flowing back home. Well, I'll leave it like this here right now, I think, or let's say like this. What I want to say as a last bit: put your oil, the ending point of your pipeline, this one, somewhere where there's water, because there we go. The advanced oil processing does require water, and it's a real pain in the rear if you don't have water in the vicinity where you want to do your complex oil processing, and that's why we did it like that. Okay, so now we know how to get that oil. I mean, it is not really hard or anything, but as a last thing to note, what's really important is that you avoid stuff like this. Let me do something wrong for you. So here's the oil. And there's an offshore pump. that yields water. And now, water and oil are both liquids. If we now start doing this, you see what happens. You can't connect a system with different fluids. So you will need to bridge the gap like this. This will work. So you can't put two different fluids on one pipeline. Don't work. Will not work. Will never work. You need to work around that. That's just a preview for the future episodes. I say goodbye for today, and next time we're building more mining outposts. Next time I'm going to talk about the first real big mining outpost, because we've been doing rookie numbers so far, and it's about time to amp up the game. We next up need an iron ore outpost, and we need that copper ore outpost. So it's gonna be quite exciting, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So, thanks for watching, you all. Drop me your comments down below, leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and as usual, in the description box below, you will find the playlist and Twitch and Discord, and if you feel like supporting the channel, there's also the links for that, and I'd be very, very grateful if you did so. That all being said, thanks for being around, and have a wonderful day. See you soon.